SAFT Podcast brings to you the coherent, cohesive, logical, and relevant defense of the Christian worldview. From laymen to experts in the field, everyone can tune in and be equipped. We also aim to introduce to the audience the plethora of work and research done in the field of Christian apologetics in defending the faith and the individuals who further the intellectual cause of Christianity by featuring the greatest minds of the Christian apologetics arena.
Hello friends, and today we are back again with a new podcast, and we are doing something different today. Today it's the SAFT team podcast, and this is an opportunity for you guys to know the entire team. And we have our founder over here, Jacob. Then we have Stephen over here, our chief editor, and we have Winston. So without any further ado, I'd like to ask each one of them to introduce themselves.
Right. So who do you want to start with, Piyush?
Yeah, Jacob, you can go ahead.
All right. Well, I guess the audience would be a bit familiar with me. So my name is Jacob. As Piyush said, by God's grace, I'm serving in the capacity as founder director. It's been 1 year of journey, more than 1 year of journey with SAFT and also with Piyush. I just finished my bachelor's, just finished with my exams with bachelor's in economics. I was in Calcutta for the past 3 years, and so far it's been going good. And I guess that's a bit about me. I'm from Kerala, for those of you who didn't know about it. And I like cricket, I like football. Basically, I like team sports, and I'm a big coffee addict. So that's about me.
Wow. So next up, we have Stephen, right from Bangalore.
Yes. Hi everyone. My name is Stephen. I just graduated from college right now. I was a computer student. Now I'm working in the IT field, and I'm currently the chief editor of SAFT. So I'll be taking care of the visual brand, the website, and all sorts of visual parts of SAFT Apologetics I'll be taking care of. So that's what I do. And when it comes to small talk stuff, I'm not like Jacob. I've never been able to play sports for some reason. The maximum amount of sports that I play is chess. I try to stay fit with exercise and stuff, but other than that, not really. I love reading and playing the guitar. Yeah, I play the guitar and sing and stuff. So yeah, that's it about me.
Wow, thank you, Stephen. And up next, we have Winston coming right from UAE, Dubai.
So, yeah, my name is Winston. I live in Sharjah. So, I basically mix the podcast, do the audio mixing for the podcast. I know Jacob and Stephen. Stephen I know from his childhood. Jacob is part of my church. Ankit I met after joining the team. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, thank you, Winston. And we really enjoy working with each other. It's really an amazing experience. Me, myself, I'm Ankit, and currently I'm a student studying engineering in artificial intelligence from Amity University, Kolkata. And I helped Jacob, and I joined this team back in August. And since then, we have recorded some podcasts. And for a while, I was off. We had some guest speakers coming up, but now we're back again. And it's really amazing to work with all of them. And I personally love to play guitar and music. It just drives me crazy. So now I'm sure that you all would like to know that how each of us met each other and how this team was formed. So we have Jacob over here. He's the person who appointed each one of us, and he formed this small team of ours. So Jacob, would you like to share?
Yeah. And also, side note, as it turns out, everyone here is involved in music one way or the other. I play the keyboard. I'm not a singer, but Piyush sings well. He plays the guitar. Stephen plays the guitar, and Vincent plays the pad. So everyone here is involved in music one way or the other. So that's just something you can keep in mind in case if you want to invite the SAFT band. Speaking about how we got to know each other, I met Ankit Piyush, as we know him on the podcast. I met Piyush while I was at Amity University, Calcutta. We have our Campus Crusade Fellowship that happens in the university, and one day Piyush just came to check out on the campus and see if it was a prospective place we could come and study. So he was with one of the Campus Crusade staff. He came in, we got to know each other. And then, by God's grace, Piyush joined Amity University to do his bachelor's. And then we were able to get to know each other, work together for the Campus Crusade Fellowship that used to happen. And inspired by the Holy Spirit, I one day asked Piyush if he would be willing to come and host the podcast with me. Looking back at it, I don't recall the exact instance of how that came about to be. Like it wasn't a mind-boggling instance or anything. It felt very normal, it felt very casual for me to ask him that, and he said, "Yeah, sure, why not? I'll come and help you out." And we would sit in the corners. We'll find out the corners of the library. And we would have two caller mics, and we would find out that was far away from everyone else, away from teachers, and also the barcode beeping from the librarian. So we would sit together and we would record the podcast. It's been an amazing experience having Piyush alongside me. It's been a great encouragement and a great support, a great brother to me. We have also been able to partner and speak at opportunities that we have got. So it's a true delight to work with Piyush and also to co-host with him. And then Steven and I go a long way back at ICPF. We were both student leaders. So he was in the UAE, in the Dubai division, and I was in the Sharjah Ajman area. So he was one of the most well-known student leaders because he was the tech geek. We used to call him Steve Genius because he was an absolute genius. If you look back, for those who hearing from ICPF, they know what Steven is capable of. And like Steven said, like he heads over all the design aspects. That is Steven's key stronghold, and he loves coding. So we all knew Steven, and I got to know Steven a bit during that time. And then last year, in December, when I went for the vacation, we were at the camp. So we were sitting at the back, and we got to, he came across the podcast. So he listened to the podcast. He said how the podcast was and how he would listen to it, and he gave some suggestions. And then we got talking on topics related to apologetics, and he was talking about Calvinism and Arminianism and the old age, young age topics. And during that time frame, I was already talking to Piyush about how we needed one more team member. Because basically, we knew that there was only so much that we both could do. And I was not an editing guy. I picked up editing and all that from the internet. So we were praying about who to take in on the team. And I had no experience on assigning anyone. I had no experience on delegating tasks or anything. I would also usually look up to someone else to tell me and give me the green sign and say, yes, that is a good thing to do, and I would execute it. I never had the opportunity to take up decisions. So I was praying about it, and when I talked with Steven, I got to see that immediate connection, and I was feeling quite at ease in asking Steven to be on the team. For the next couple of days, I prayed over it, and I gave the suggestion to Steven to be on the team and join us as one of the core team members alongside me and Piyush. And the Lord moved in Steven's heart and showed him a very direct sign to join us on the team. And there Steven is with us. We are yet to see Steven unleash his potential with SAFT. But stay tuned. We have some amazing changes coming your way. And you would see Steven's handmark, fingerprint all over the work that he's going to unleash with us. And coming finally to Vincent, as he said, we go a long way back. He's by far the longest standing friend among all three of you here. I know since I've known him since I've been since 6th grade. So he's been my church member back in Sharjah, and he's an expert in the field of audio. So whenever it comes to our ICPF annual youth camp or the church conventions, be it an individual church or the entire churches coming together, he would be the go-to guy. He would be manning the audio stations. And we remember for one of the ICPF camp, that's first time they brought in the digital mixer. I think it was, I forgot which brand it was. It was some Allen. Do you remember which brand it was?
Allen and Heath.
Yes, Allen and Heath. It was the QU65, right? 32, yes. Oh my word. We were thrilled because we had never seen a mixer that would move all the controls on by its own. and we would come together and we would press buttons and we would see all of it moving into place. So everyone had that confidence when Winston was there that he was the person who could take over the audio and he could deal with it, and everyone trusted him so much with that area. And so we were also discussing on how we can better the audio side, because again, we didn't know much about audio mixing and editing as such. So we kept praying about it, and then by the Holy Spirit's guidance, I reached out to Vincent, and finally he's here on the team, and as he said, he's overseeing the audio editing and mixing and making sure that you get the audio very clear and very good for your podcast, unlike when a novice like me was editing it. So that's basically how we got to know each other, and we are all here on the team, and now we have got to know each other even better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, like it's really fun to work with this team, and as we know that Jacob is the founder, and it was something which got put in his heart to this idea of SAFT Apologetics. So Jacob, would you like to share like how it came about, how this idea of SAFT it came about? What was the birth of SAFT Apologetics?
Yeah, so throughout this podcast, you'll be hearing the name Pastor Jerin quite frequently, because he has played a quite critical role in all of this. Because I got to know Stephen and Vincent much into it, especially Stephen, through the platform that we had with ICPF UAE. And Pastor Jerin, he was there with us recently on the podcast talking on how to read the Bible. So he had set this platform for student leaders from across that crisscross the nation to come together and work together. So a lot of credit goes to him. And specifically, even though I had known about apologetics, my parents would host some of the great apologetic speakers from Kerala. Even though my parents are still close friends with many of them, I actually pursued apologetics quite seriously after I came to Calcutta. And that credit goes to Pastor Jaran again. He asked me, well, you're in your hostel, you have a lot of free time. Well, why don't you look into some books? I'll send you some of the books names that you can try and get on. And I was hooked. I was hooked instantly after I read The Case for Christ and More Than a Carpenter. I was like, wow, man, there is a plethora of rational defense for the Christian faith. How was I not exposed to any of it? And then I went on a buying spree and got as many books as I can. And then I thought, wait a minute, I was not exposed to it as critically or as structurally as I get to know from the books now. How can I make it available for people out there? How can I make it available for college students and laymen like me? Because as a layman, if I'm able to understand, then I'll be able to relate it to other laymen. So I kept praying about it, and that's how SAFT Apologetics came into mind, a platform to bring out the apologetics contents and the defense for our faith to laymen out there. So I shared it to my mentors like Pastor Jarin and also my church pastor at Equippers Calcutta, Pastor Binu Thambi. Maybe a Malayalam audience might recall him as the younger son of Pastor Viya Thambi, the founder of New in the Church of God. So they've all played a very crucial role in strengthening and nurturing the seed that was planted in my heart. And we came about the name SAFT, taking inspiration from the late Nabeel Qureshi's book, Seeking Allah, Finding Jesus. And there Nabeel displays in his autobiography how he pursued truth, even though that was drastically dangerous for him, even though that meant rejection from his family and rejection from his community and being ostracized from his community. And then I thought, if Christ is the personification of truth, then it is incumbent upon us to seek truth and find it. So we want SAFT Apologetics to be a platform where we want to encourage everyone to open-heartedly seek the answers to the questions. And we are assured that if you honestly and rationally seek answers, you will find your conclusion with Christ Jesus, truth personified. And that's where SAFT, Seeking Answers, Finding Truth, that name came about to be. And it's been, as we mentioned here, it's been more than a year in this capacity. And well, here we are.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. I'm sure that all of our audience would be enlightened to know from where the birth of SAFT Apologetics happened. So now, since how long has SAFT been functioning? So Stephen, would you like to answer that? Like, just tell our audience that since how long we've been functioning. Yeah.
Yeah, so SAFT has been functioning since June 1st, 2019. And some of our earlier audience might know it first started out just like how how Jacob said. It started out with both Ankit, with both Piyush and Jacob. discussing certain topics with each other in the library corners and all that stuff. It started with those short podcast clips. I think it was like pretty short as well, right? So it's like yeah, and then yeah, it went with certain public interview videos, like interviewing other people, and then eventually Jacob was able to get great apologists on our podcast, like Dr. Michael Brown, William Lane Craig, Frank Turek, and all of these great people onto our podcast and stuff. So that's how SAFT has been functioning. So what all does SAFT Apologetics do now, Piyush?
Yeah, so we at SAFT Apologetics, we make videos and podcasts on various topics, like our aim is to defend our faith in the 21st century. And those of you who are our regular listeners, you must have come across pretty big apologists who have been a part of our podcast lately. And some of them were, like, as Stephen mentioned, Dr. William Lane Craig, Dr. Frank Turek, Sean McDowell, etc. And then we've even had an opportunity to speak at a Bible college at the Bridge Institute of Strategic Missions. And Jacob and I, we were there. We took a session in English and Bengali and in Hindi as well, where we equipped them with the knowledge of apologetics. There were around 25 to 30 students, and we went there and we spoke with them. We even jointly held an online apologetics conference with Pneuma Hermeneutics, where Jacob, he presented the Kalam cosmological argument, and then the moral argument, the issue of scientific resistance to faith and rebuttal, and addressed pluralism and objective truth, and all in Malayalam. Well, this ties into our vision, which says that to break the language and accessibility barrier and make apologetics resources within easy reach for all communities in India and beyond. So that's how we've been functioning, and we even spoke at a youth conference, and we have been a part of various panel discussions with other renowned speakers and conducted open forums as well. So this is what we at SAFT Apologetics do, basically. And now, Winston, would you like to tell our audience that where all, like on which platforms they can find SAFT Apologetics and our work?
Yeah, Ankit, our podcast is available on all your podcasting platforms, whichever is your favorite ones, like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Deezer, etc. Also, we have a website, saftapologetics.com, where you can access the Tune In Now option to find all the episodes and your favorite platforms. Also, do check out our YouTube page, where you can find the video versions of our podcast. Thank you.
Thank you, Winston, for sharing that with our audience. And I'm sure that many of you love our podcast, and if you are willing to support us in any way, so Jacob, would you like to share with them like how our audience can support us more and more in this endeavor which we are working on?
Yes, and also as Piyush was right now saying about different opportunities we got to partner with other ministry. That also it also shows how the ministry has been able to grow, because back when we started last year in June, we never anticipated SAFT to have such form of a growth. We just like we mentioned here, we just sat in a corner of a library with 2 column mics, and we would just record with it, and we would ask our friends if we can interview them on these topics, and we had a very limited perspective on what we could do. And the vision of SAFT, the vision to make apologetics accessible beyond the language and accessibility barrier, came in a bit late when I came to see where great, very, very well-funded, well-established apologetic ministries also were limited by the language. Like they would train the people in English, and they would expect them to go and speak to the churches, and that would mostly be in English. That's when it hit me and said, well, why can't we try and make apologetics accessible in the local languages? And as Piyush rightly pointed out, that opportunity to partner with our good friends at Pneuma Hermeneutics was a big breakthrough in that vision for us, because we were able to present these philosophical and scientific arguments for the Christian faith in the local language. That actually, we want that to inspire others to take up the mantle and to see that, yeah, you can make apologetics palatable into the local language. You don't have to stick with English. You can work with it, and you can make that effort to bring it approachable to anyone who listens in any language. And in that sense, we have a lot of projects in mind for us to take a next step into. And here's how you can support us. Firstly and foremostly, we need your prayers more than anything. Your prayers and your words of encouragement mean more than anything to us to help us further the work that we do. And the other way that you can support us would be if you would like to partner with us, if you would like to give us an opportunity to reach out to your audience and equip them in the faith. That would be another way to help and support us in our growth. The final option would be to support the content creation work that we do. That, as Winston also pointed out about our YouTube videos and the podcast, you can easily support our content creation work that we do on YouTube by going to Patreon. Now, Patreon is a very popular platform, a very genuine and well-recognized platform, and that is basically set out for people like bloggers, photographers, podcasters, video makers as such, to put out content and also to connect with the audience so that they can get a monthly form of support as such. So if you go to Patreon, you can go to Patreon and search for SAFT Apologetics. We'll be dropping the link in the description as well. You can support us with as low as $3 a month. And we have 3 tiers. You can support us with $3, $6, or $10 a month. And any amount you put in goes in a long, long way in financing and sustaining the work that we have. So basically, you are furthering the content creation work that we do on YouTube. And you also, as Patreon is a platform for content creators like us, to thank you, the patrons who support us. We have the features where you will get early access to our videos and contents, and also you will get exclusive updates about what we're going to do next, and you can also be part of the work that we do and support us and give us your ideas as well. So that is the most direct way to support us. But firstly and foremostly, we pray that whatever support you do, be it an opportunity you're suggesting, be it a financial support, whatever be it, that you would do it wholeheartedly and prayerfully. $1 sent in prayerfully means much more than $100 sent in out of some sort of compulsion or some sort of need. Whatever you do, we hope that you would do it prayerfully and out of your desire to do it for the kingdom of God, and not because you know us personally or SAFT, but because for your love for God.
Yeah, that's pretty true. Like, whenever we share towards the ministry, it should always be in our mind that it is for God's purpose and God's kingdom to come. Thank you, Jacob, for sharing. And now, as we look to the future, you've seen how we've come from the past to the present. And I'm sure that many of the audience must be thinking, like, what does the future look like for SAFT Apologetics? And once again, I'd like to ask Jacob, since he's a founder and he's the person who brought this team together. He's the foundation of this ministry. So he will be sharing with us what the future holds for us and how the future of SAFT Apologetics looks like.
Yeah, well, basically, even though Piyush said foundation, he didn't mean as I am the one who sustains the ministry. Don't get the wrong idea. It's something that I shared to the team as well. Basically, we are stewards of the ministry that God has entrusted to us. And that was one of the first things that I told to Piyush. Even if in the future, if I and you step out of this ministry, the Lord will still sustain the ministry, because this is firstly and foremostly His. So don't get the wrong idea. Piyush also didn't imply anything else. And the future looks bright for us. By God's grace, the future looks bright for us. We have a lot of projects planned. We have a lot more different varieties of videos that we want to put out. Response videos is something that's on our list, and we're working on the best way to put it out for you so they can appeal to as many people as possible. We also have a major project under works, and it's by far the biggest we have ever done. It's very confidential right now. We are still in the works. We're pulling together so much of our connections to make it happen. I'll tell you this, it's going to be on a large scale. So we are praying that the Lord would lead us and guide us into making it a possibility and to actualizing it. Well, your minds would be blown. Our minds were blown when we thought it could be a possibility. When we came up with the idea and we got the response from the stakeholders, we were surprised that this could actually happen. So keep that in your prayers. We'll be letting you know as the time sees best. And the other way is we are also working on making our websites a bit more intuitive and also making it a better platform for you to interact with us. So like I said, you'll be blown away with what Stephen is going to pull off with the website, with the revamp he's going to bring about. Like Stephen said earlier, one word that he said about branding, SAFT branding. that sort of things never stuck out to us. I mean, me and Piyush never thought that those sort of things stand out, but Stephen was able to bring it out to us and sort of make sort of a distinct branding for the ministry as well to help us stand out. So we have a lot of that updates coming as well, and we are in talks with many other high-profile guests from different parts of the ministries, of apologetics ministries and their field, to bring in them on the podcast so that we can equip you and also encourage you in your walk with Christ. And as Piyush hinted, we'll be both coming back on. We have some more exciting topics to discuss with you. So your favorite SAFT podcast hosts will be back with you. And we'll be also taking a break in with the different guests that we'll be having with us. So that's basically what the future looks for us. And this is what I've said for the next 6 months. We don't know what awaits us in the next 1 year or 2 years. That's up to the Lord. He has led us so far and so gracious in the last 1 year. And we are trusting in Him to lead us even better and according to His glory and for His namesake alone. So once again, we request your prayers and your support.
Wow. Well, wasn't that exciting? Like looking into the future, and I'm sure that most of you will like to get updates, and for that we'd like to encourage you to follow us on all our social media pages and subscribe us on YouTube, and even you can follow us on all the platforms on which our podcasts are available. So that's it for today, and please continue to support us and do press the like button and do comment, and we are open for suggestions. You can give in your suggestions and feedback. They're really meaningful and we really value your suggestions. So please do that in the comment section, or you can even get in touch with us through the website. So thank you for joining in and tuning into our podcast. And this is Ankit signing off on behalf of the entire SAFT team. Bye.